No, you're not.
We're just talking.
Go ahead.
Talking. We're not starting this.
Yeah.
We're starting.
All right, mumble it.
Okay. Today we have Chip Walsh with us. Stan could not be here this morning because he has a last minute conflict. There you go. That's the word. But anyway, Chip is going to do the presentation, and he is going to explain to us what he is going to do on the listing presentation before we actually do it. Right, Chip?
Exactly.
Chip Walsh.
Yeah, and just because I don't have Stan here, I'm going to do half the presentation in a Yankee accent and half in a Southern accent. Just to let that throw you off. All right, so we're going to start as if the appointment's already been made. And normally our assistant Jill makes this next call. And it's better really if you can have your assistant, or if you don't have an assistant, trade off with another agent to make the pre-qualifying call, because it separates you a little bit from the seller, and it helps you get a little bit more objective answers. So it's a good policy to do that, but if you can't, you can do it yourself. But I'm going to do it for the sake of demonstration here. So we've made the appointment, which will be at 9:15 today, okay? Except I'm really calling maybe 4 or 5 days ahead of time if I have that much time. Okay, so basically, ring ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Liz?
Yes, it is.
Liz, hey, this is Chip Walsh with AgentOwned Preferred Group.
Oh my goodness, I've heard about you.
Yeah, well, we have this. You probably have, because we have this appointment at 9:15.
Oh, okay.
Before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, have you ever thought about selling your home yourself?
Yes.
You have. Okay, so you have. And why aren't you doing that this time?
I've just heard good things about your team.
Great, awesome. So when Stan and I come out, if what we say makes sense, and you're comfortable and confident that we can sell your house, are you planning to list your home with us when we come out?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, okay. Mm-hmm. And are you planning to interview any other agents for the job of selling your home?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And who are they?
Carolina 1.
Carolina 1, okay.
And Joe Blow Realty.
And Joe Blow, okay. And who are the agents there? Do you mind saying?
Yep, Carolina 1 is Susie Smith.
Susie Smith, okay.
And Joe Blow is Stan Smith.
Stan Smith, wow. I wonder if they're related. So please, so tell me, where are you moving to?
Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay, fantastic. And how soon do you have to be there?
I have a year.
A year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a good long time. Why are you putting the house in the market so soon if you have a year?
Well, I just want to make sure I get top dollar.
Okay, so what happens if you sell the home early?
I'll live with my parents.
You live with your parents. Okay, so given that your parents might be older than my parents, and they're not with us anymore.
Uh-oh.
But anyhow, do you absolutely? I mean, in a year, I guess, do you absolutely have to sell your home?
I don't. Well, yes, I would need to sell my home.
So you did. Okay, great. So how would you rate your motivation to sell a home? Well, quickly, but I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, it wouldn't be that high, right?
Not for real quick.
Not for quick. Okay, so
just for the top dollar.
So what would you give that number? 1 to 10?
5.
5. Okay. And I mean, what would you do if you didn't get your home sold?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
I need to sell it.
Okay, so you need to sell it. So that's not even an option, is it?
That's correct.
Okay, awesome. Okay, now when I see you, how much do you want to sell your home for? List your home for?
It's definitely worth $325.
$325. Okay, great. And as professional real estate agents, Stan and I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I assume you'll want to list with us at a price that will cause your home to sell. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
As long as it's $325.
As long as it's $325. So my next question is, so what price won't you go below?
Oh gosh, I really hadn't thought about that.
Okay. Not sure. Okay. Now, how much do you own the property?
How much do I owe? $250.
$250. All right. $250. Very good. Now, just to expand the market, would you be willing to finance the home for the buyer, or do you need to get your cash out?
I need to get the cash.
Cash out. Okay, great. Now, do you have a recent appraisal by any chance?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. And have you made any additions to the square footage of the property since you first moved in?
Mm-hmm.
Any finished square footage?
I finished the 3rd floor.
3rd floor. Do you have any idea how many square feet that is?
Like 1,000.
1,000 square feet. Wow, that's a lot. Okay.
Big.
Fantastic. All right. Now, we're going to be sending out a packet of information about what we do to get top dollar for our clients. Will you take a few minutes to review that before we come out?
Certainly will, yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, are there any other decision makers in terms of listing your home?
No.
Okay, so you're the only one?
Right.
All right, very good. Now, do you have any questions before we come out?
No, I'm just anxious to find out what you think you can do for me.
Fantastic. Well, that's what the meeting won't be entirely about. Now, just so you know, our meetings should only take anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes. Is that okay?
That's great.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll see you next Wednesday at about 9:15 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, great. 'Cause I have appointments with the other two realtors actually Wednesday afternoon and Thursday.
Fantastic. Okay.
So I'll be meeting with you first.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. Okay, great. All right. Well, I appreciate that, and we'll see you then.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. So then the next phase is I'm going to call back and confirm the appointment, which should probably be in this case Tuesday night. And ring, ring.
Hello.
Well, Liz, this is Chip Walsh again. How are you?
Oh, hey, Jeff. I'm great. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, just confirming our appointment tomorrow morning at 9:15.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
And did you have that time to read that material?
I did, and it's very impressive.
Okay. Any questions about it before we come out?
No.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, great. Well, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:15. Looking forward to it.
Very good. Thank
All right.
you.
You take care. Okay. Now the next thing is I'm going to come to the house, and I'm going to look around the house. So I'm going to go out the door. Goodbye. And just come in. Knock, knock.
Hello. Come on in.
Hey, Liz. How you doing? You mind if I just take a look around?
Let me show you around.
Yeah. You know what? If you don't mind, I'd like to see your eyes through the eyes of a buyer, and you won't be here when the buyers come through.
Oh, I won't?
Well, no. I'll explain that later.
Okay.
But if you don't mind, I'll just take a quick tour, and I'll be back. I'll just meet you here at the kitchen
Okay.
table. Is that all right?
All right.
Fantastic.
Just don't pick up anything.
No. I didn't know you were there. Bring that sauce. Didn't know you had a Rolex. Okay. All right. Yep. Very impressive. Beautiful house. Awesome.
Did you see the third floor?
I did. I'm pretty fast, you know. So
I'm proud of that third floor.
anyway, yeah, it's awesome. It's really, really good. I mean, 1,000 square feet really added something to the house, you know. Especially since the house is only 1,900 square feet total. Made a big difference. So anyway, at the end of our presentation today, one of three things will happen. Okay. I feel like I'm on the Jack Benny show.
Oh, goodness.
Cut.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome to Happy Realty. So at the end of our presentation today, other than giving you CPR, one of three things will happen. Number one, you'll have the opportunity to list your home with me, or number two, you may decide not to list your home with me, and that could happen. Or number three, I may decide not to take your listing, and you know why that would be?
No, I can't imagine.
Well, the only reason, because your condition's fantastic, the only reason I would decide not to take your listing is if we can't agree on a price, because if we can't agree on a price that makes sense to you and also makes sense to a prospective buyer, then there's really nothing I can do to help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, any of those options are fine. Okay?
Okay.
So let me just take a quick minute to review the questions I asked you over the phone. Now, you said you've thought about selling your home, but you're not going to do it this time.
Right.
And you are going to be interviewing a few more agents. Okay? You're going to Atlanta in a year or less, living with your parents if you sell it sooner, so that won't be a problem. You do have to sell your home. You're not sure what you'll do if you don't get it sold, so we have to get it sold. You said you wanted to list it for $325,000.
Right.
You're not sure if you can go below that or not. You owe $250,000, and you don't want to finance the home for a buyer. You don't have a recent appraisal. You added that 1,000 feet on the third floor, which is fantastic.
I may be wrong on that, but
Yeah, well, Stan and I will measure it, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So basically, there really only are two issues we need to look at today. Number one, your motivation to sell this home. And number two, the price we set in your home. So I've prepared what we call a comparative market analysis. I've got it right here.
Oh, great. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. Yeah, this is the meat and potatoes of the presentation. And, you know, there are basically two parts to the research I've done to prepare this report. Part one is what I call, sort of kiddingly, as if I'm at Disneyland or something, Fantasyland. And that's what homeowners list homes for that never sell. And they remain in Fantasyland and the homes remain unsold. The other part that we're going to focus on today is what I call reality. And that's what real estate agents list and sell homes for. So we're basically going to have to decide today where you're going to spend your time. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So basically, the purpose of the comparative market analysis is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of a buyer. So do you know how buyers determine value?
If they love the house.
Well, and that's a good answer. In addition, they determine it based on comparison shopping. Now, if they look at the price of your house and the features and benefits that you have with your house, and they compare it with the features and benefits of similar homes that have sold recently or are currently on the market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, if you were going to purchase a new car, and one dealership had a car for $20,000, and another dealership had the exact same car for $20,000, but it also had a navigation system, a CD player, and fancy new wheels, which car would be more valuable?
Obviously the latter.
Right, why?
Has more stuff.
Exactly. Now, hypothetically, what if that first dealership dropped the price from $20,000 to $10,000, which would have a better value then?
Obviously that first one.
Right. Okay, why?
It's a better price, a lot better price.
More bang for your buck, right?
More bang for the buck.
See, so you can see that if you want to increase value, you either do one of two things. You lower the price, or you add more features and benefits for the same price.
Like my third floor.
Exactly. So it makes sense to you, right? Because you added the third floor. So unless right now, between the time I list your home and this presentation, you decide to add more features and benefits to the home, are you going to add anything additional?
I'm not planning on it.
Okay. Then price is the only issue. So can I show you what I mean on this report?
Sure. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
I can already tell you I don't like mine.
Yeah, well, you know, I honestly looked at it and I wasn't excited for you either. But it's my job to tell you the truth, first, last, and always. So let's look at this. On the left column is your home. Okay. And then we've got three very recent sales. And so your home is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900 square feet, of which 1,000 is upstairs. Let's just go for the most three recent sales right close by. We have 123 Primrose Lane. Mm-hmm. Okay, are you aware? Do you know that house?
Yes, I do.
You do. Okay. So how many bedrooms?
4.
Just like yours, right?
Correct.
Great. How many baths?
2.
Okay, that's also just like yours, isn't it?
Right. It is.
Okay. How many square feet?
1907.
Okay, and how many does yours have?
1900.
Okay, great. How many days on the market?
59.
59. Okay. And what was the list price on that?
300.
And what did it sell for?
300.
Right. Very good. Okay. Now let's move over to 101 Spring Street. Again, how many bedrooms?
4.
How many baths?
2.
How many square feet?
1859.
And how many does yours have again?
And how many what?
How many is yours?
1900.
1900. So it's a little smaller. How many days in the market?
19.
Okay. What was the list price?
Oh, that's why it's so quick. 285.
Mm-hmm. 287.5, and they sold it for 285. Yeah.
Oh, they sold it for 2. Okay.
Now let's look at 85 B Street. Okay. Now let's go down the list there. Now how many bedrooms?
4.
Okay. And yours has
4.
4. Okay. Baths?
2.
So it's the same. Square foot?
1925.
And yours has what?
1900.
Okay. How many days in the market?
163.
163 days. It's kind of a long time, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then after...
But I have time.
You do have time. That's true. That's true. So basically, what was the list price on that?
$330.
Okay, and what did it end up selling for?
$299.
So even with all that time, what happened?
They took less.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
30,000 less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
But I bet theirs is not as nice as mine.
Actually, I have been in that house, and respectfully, it's just as nice as yours. It has all the same features. It's a very nice house. It's a very nice house. In fact, I showed it several times.
Did it have a pool table?
Well, it didn't have a pool table.
On the 3rd floor like mine?
Yeah, but I mean, we could add, probably tack on a little bit for that, But that's personal property. We'll get into that later.
It is, but it's nice.
Yeah, it was a great pool table. It's fantastic. Yeah, totally agree. So basically, after reading that, objectively, just try to take yourself out of, this is your house. If you were a buyer, through the eyes of a buyer, what price do you feel we should have to create value in the eyes of a buyer and get someone to decide on your home versus the competition?
Well, it's really hard for me to do that, to take me out of the picture.
So putting you back in the picture, what do you think?
325.
325. Okay. I mean, even though that home sold for $299 after being on the market for almost 6 months.
Well, see, I have a year.
Right. And they apparently had a lot of time too.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they end up gaining anything by waiting all that time?
No,
Mm-mm.
no, they didn't.
Yeah. So, basically my question is.
But now, doesn't things go up as time goes by?
Well, that's
Prices go up?
a great question. Not necessarily. I mean, basically the market changes every single day, and you don't know what it's going to do. It's really kind of like the stock market in a sense. And this value I'm giving you is good for today. It could go up or it could go down, and we really don't know. The most famous example of that, in terms of an appraisal or value being good for one day, is the World Trade Center. Imagine what it was worth on September 10th versus September 12th of that terrible year.
Oh, that's a good example.
Yeah. So you don't know what's going to happen, and therefore, I'd rather see you get 10 offers in a row that you turn down rather than get no offers at all. And what happens if we put it on the market at too high a price? No one's going to look at it, and then it's going to become stale. And then after all that time and all that aggravation, just like 85 B Street, you're not going to be ahead. And let me tell you one other thing. Would you agree with this statement? 99.5% of people, when they buy a home, they're borrowing money. About half of 1% use cash.
Right.
Okay. And when that happens, so you agree with that statement.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens,
As far as my knowledge, yeah.
yeah, like I can tell you, doing this thing in the day off the stand, this is absolutely the truth. And what happens is when a buyer gets their loan, the mortgage company does what's called a bank appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what happens, they will not loan money in excess of that amount.
And the appraisals are done this way.
Exactly. I mean, they're done exactly, with this comparison method.
Well, my neighbor down the street sold hers and it didn't appraise, but the people paid the extra money.
That's a great point, and it can happen. I can tell you, in my 10 years in the business, it has happened. Out of hundreds of transactions that I've done, it's happened once, one time. So you could be that one time, but I'd rather defend that price that we know we can get, that we know the banks are going to approve, rather than have your house sit on there for month after month after month, getting more and more tired and more tired.
Well, see, Joe Blow has already told me, Stan Smith told me we could get my 325. He's coming out to do his presentation, but he told me on the phone that should not be a problem.
Right, and I'm sure that sounds appealing. And when you meet with him, just make sure he shows you where he comes up with that price. Because based on these sales, and all 3 of these properties, I mean, does it make sense to you that you get 325?
Not by that, no.
No. So.
But I don't think they would have the. But you say you've been in these houses.
We've been in these houses. We've shown these houses. So it's where he ever would come up with 325, I don't know. But I can tell you this: there are some agents out there that will tell you whatever you want to hear at the beginning, and then they'll beat you up week after week after week for that price reduction. Is that what you want?
No.
Okay. So let's just do the right thing and just sign the contract. Get it right here. And it's Elizabeth, right?
What if we try 310?
You want to do 310?
Yeah, at least something more than 299. That just seems like I'm giving it away.
Well, that's a great point. Listen, and first of all, Liz, I'm on your side. I mean, I want to get the most possible money. In fact, the more money you get, guess what happens? The more money I get. So, I mean, we're on the same team, and our job is to get you the most possible money for this house.
Well, that's something else we haven't talked about. Is how much money do you get? What's your commission?
It's 6%, which is a very standard commission. And you did read the marketing plan.
I did,
you said, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So you can see we do a lot of things. We have 4 people on the team. that, we've got a lot of, like what I like to call boots on the ground to really, be efficient. We take very professional photos and do a professional write-up.
Well, if I list with you, then and I saw the team, who am I going to be dealing with? You or somebody else?
Actually, you'll primarily, I'm the seller specialist on the team. We have 2 buyer's agents, and then we have the team leader, that's Stan, who kind of does a little bit of everything. You'll never see me in a car with a buyer. All I do is I look for buyers for my sellers. I am a specialist, a seller's specialist, which is really a unique thing that we do that really, I don't know how these agents that are one-man band agents, I don't know how they do it. There's just too much going on in real estate now. So what we'll do is we will fight every single day, and I will spend all my time exclusively for my sellers, which you're about to become one, to get you the absolute top dollar. Now, getting back to the 310, listen, I'll try that for 30 days. So if we do that, would you just sign the contract right now?
You think we can get it?
I don't. No, I don't. But listen, unfortunately, I've been wrong before. I hate to admit that, but I have. So, I mean, again, in the spirit of trying it, and we will give it everything we have to get that 310. We'll give that a shot, but after 30 days, you got to promise me we're going to get back to total reality.
I kind of feel like I should listen to what Stan Smith has to say, since he told me he thought he could get 325.
Right. Well, that's a great point. Now, did you look at Stan Smith's stats?
No.
Just want to be sure I don't say Stan Huff.
Right.
Stan Smith's stats. Yeah. I mean, with all due respect, I mean, we have a team. We sell 1 to 2 houses a week. I mean, I would think. So you have no idea what he sells?
No, I don't.
Yeah. How did you find him?
Actually, a friend told me about him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. And by all means, you could talk to him. But we're the most prolific team at the 2nd largest company in Charleston, AgentOwned Real Estate. We're the number 2 market share. We're the top listing team here. We do this day in and day out. And a few years ago, I had open heart surgery. I'm doing great now. But when I went in to interview the surgeon, the first question I asked him was, how many surgeries do you do a year? And I interviewed 3 of them. And there was one that only does them occasionally.
I wouldn't want that.
There was one that did, maybe 1 a month. And then there was one that did 100 a year. Now, and I would think that, if you're like most people, this is your largest asset, wouldn't you say?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, so don't you want the surgeon that does 100 a year as opposed to the one that does 1 or 2, like Stan Smith?
Yes, but at the same time, if he is really confident he can get my price, it's more money in my pocket.
Right, and based on what we've seen here, let's be honest here. Do you honestly think you're going to get 325? I mean, why would someone give you more than these properties? Is it just? And you're very likable, but is it just because they like you, Liz?
They like my 3rd floor.
They like the 3rd floor.
But really, he must have different properties he's comparing mine to. That's possible, right?
Yeah.
Have different properties.
Well, he may have the wrong properties, because since he only sells 2 homes a year, it may be that he doesn't, he's not very well trained. And again, I'm sure he's a great guy, so this is not a personal attack on Stan Smith, but the reality is we are the top listing team at AgentOwned Real Estate, and we sell a couple of houses a week. We know that this is the best money you're going to get. So, and I know you have a year to go, but wouldn't you want to just get put in the right hands right away? This is your biggest asset, isn't it?
It is my biggest asset, but to be honest, I'm not really. I got lots of time, and I don't really want to live with my parents.
Yeah, you don't want to live with your parents, exactly. Yeah.
I'd rather just sell this, and well, if I can get the top dollar for it, I'm going to do that. But you think that 310 would be absolute top dollar?
Absolute top dollar. But let's do that for 30 days, and then we'll just look at the result. I'm going to tell you how it should look, okay?
Okay.
And this is not me making this up. This is not some Chip anecdote here. This is National Association of Realtor stats. The way it should look, if we've done our job properly, every week you should get at least 3 showings. And by the time we hit 10 showings, we should have an offer. Now, if you don't have that after 10 showings, you've got 1 of 3 problems. They're always the same 3 problems, same 3 reasons why homes don't sell: price, condition, and marketing. always the same 3 reasons. Now, your condition is great, pool table is awesome, you know? So we know it's not going to be conditions. Now we're left with price and marketing. If after 10 showings, you know, we don't have an offer, either you decide our marketing is awful and you fire us, which is fine, or we'll have to address the price. Now, I'm on your side. I want to get that 310. We've agreed now. We're going to go after that 310. But after 30 days, if we've had 10 showings and we don't have that offer, we know there's a problem. So you'll have to decide then whether it's us or whether it's your price. Now, have you called our references in there?
I have not had time to do that.
Okay. Well, when you were to call them, you'd find out that we are who we say we are. We do a great job. You know, we leave no stone unturned to get the top dollar for our sellers.
So if we did this and I wasn't pleased with your services, can I cancel my
Yes, you can.
agreement?
Yeah, I mean, we have a policy, although we've never had to exercise it, but if you don't want to do business with us, we're not going to hold you to a contract. That just makes no sense. That's just silly. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. We'd release you. Thered be no charge. There's no obligation.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're going to prove to you that we are who we say we are every day.
And that we can put that in our listing agreement?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to do that. Will you sign that?
I will.
Fantastic.
I'll put that in there.
You can fire us. Okay, very good. Elizabeth, right here. Fantastic. Thank you.
Look forward to it. All right. Now, what do you do next?
I go up and do a cartwheel.
That's the most interesting part of the thing.
Well, I'm ready to take that part.
You've offered to call the realtors that she has coming over, because sometimes that's a really hard thing to
Yeah,
for the client to do.
yeah. If they ask me, or if it just seems like so you didn't say it, but if you said, I just don't know how I'm going to tell these other realtors. I'll say, look, this is what I'll do. I'll give them a call and let them know they're welcome to bring their buyers by, and we can all share in the profits here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Because it is kind of scary that you've got these set up, and now you're canceling.
now, if it's a relocation deal where they have to talk to other people, I always try to go last. But if it's not, I try to close them right then. Because if I'm up against somebody really good, they're going to close them and I'm going to get canceled on. So it's a whole different mentality. But where they have to talk to 2 or 3 realtors, and that's a requirement by their relo company, I always want to be last.
Now, Chip, do you have any recommendation for most of the people listening to this are single agents and not teams. Do you have any suggestions for them? Because, of course you stress your team, which is what you are. But like these agents don't have teams.
That's a great question. I mean, this is what I would do. I would team up with another agent. Now, even if you keep your own business separate and you make your own commissions, enlist the help of another agent and you spot each other. You just make an agreement for the benefit of both of you to take care of each other's business. That way you can actually maybe have a weekend sometimes. You could even go on vacation. What a concept in real estate to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Being a one-man band realtor is miserable. I've done it. It's awful. But if you don't want to do the team route, which I would recommend, but if you don't want to do that, I mean that is the future of real estate. It's all going to teams. The one-man real estate person, it's just too hard. There's too much to it now.
And I think your suggestion of teaming up with keeping your own business is, you're not giving away your business, but you're teaming up to help each other.
And it's like a little mastermind group. You're also learning from each other. Everything I've picked up, I don't have one single original idea. I never have my whole life. I've picked up everything from somebody else, from some mentor, some person I've learned something from. I've learned a ton from Mom Liz, a ton. And, I've learned a lot from Lisa. I've learned, from a lot of people I come in contact with. We have a lot of fantastic resources and people here at the company.
Now, you also said that you were willing to share your script with the agents?
Yes.
If they would like it?
Well, actually, just to highlight the fact that I don't have original ideas, this is Mike Ferry's script. This is not my script. And if you go to MikeFerry.com and look up his listing presentation, it's there for free. You can just download it. And I just read it. And some people say, why? And Mike encourages you just to go ahead and read it because it's a canned presentation, and this has been proven to work.
It works.
If you think about, and some agents say, I would never sit there and read. That's unprofessional. This is my attitude about that. For those of you old enough to remember Johnny Carson, Johnny Carson made $200 million a year, and everything he did was read on cue cards his entire career. So if he can make $200 million a year reading, I think that, the rest of us can read too.
How do you get the appointment to begin with?
That's a great question. Prospecting.
Farming or just prospect? Or
We
is there the same thing?
We do a lot of different streams of calling. We call expireds and withdrawals every day. I call all those every day. We call around our listings. I do a just listed call. So we call the whole neighborhood around a listing and just tell them we just listed this property. Do you happen to know anybody that would like to move into your neighborhood? And it's amazing how many times you find somebody.
And see, that is awesome because, the company sends out the just listed postcards to those 50 people around there, and then you phoning those.
Well, they already kind of know, oh yeah, I get your postcard. I get that all the time. Yeah, just get your postcard. And then we also do a just sold campaign. And it's like, I'm calling them 2 weeks later. Well, remember I told you it was just listed, well, it's just sold now. Well, you sold in 2 weeks. My goodness. And I just got your second postcard, by the way. So then, door knocking is good. I haven't mastered that yet. I've got my peddler's permit, and I've really not done it. But especially with the proliferation of cell phones and people not having home phones anymore, over time it's segueing to door knocking. And the great thing about door knocking is you don't have to deal with do not call regulations. And those are disconcerting, so you've got to be careful with do not call regulations. So it's, but with door knocking, there's nothing. Even now a neighborhood that says no soliciting, that actually has no legal bearing. You may not want to do it just because you're going to irritate people. And they'll say, didn't you see that sign out there? But the police aren't going to do anything to you.
But if in Mount Pleasant, if you have a peddler's license,
you can do anything.
You can do it.
You can go
But in Mount
anywhere.
Pleasant, you do need to have one, a peddler's license, which is free.
Yeah, it is. Well, you have
We
to
charge you for the background check.
They charge you for $25 for the background check. The other thing I'd recommend is there are only about 20 objections you're ever going to get. The same 20. They'll always be the same 20. Learn some objection handlers and practice them. What I have done is I put them on flashcards. So the objection is on an index card. The objection is on one side. On the reverse side is the handler. And just practice. And role play the scripts. Take your partner who you're teaming up with and role play. Pretend you're in the meeting because it's all about practice. I mean, you take the great athletes and people like that. They practice umpteen hours before they go out on the field.
One thing is, I know that Chip prospects, 3 hours at least a day?
Yeah.
3 to 4 hours every day, Monday through Friday.
Right.
So, I mean, it doesn't just happen. They work at it. So, a lot of real estate agents think you get a license and voila, it happens.
Well,
but it doesn't happen that way.
In real estate, you're always going to have 2 jobs, prospecting and whatever else you do. If you don't prospect, you're just not going to have a good business.
And Chip, we follow up with people sometimes 2 years before we'll get the listing.
Yeah. Well, Andy, as part of our 1-2 punch, I make the calls, and then she's got beautiful handwriting, and she writes beautiful notes, and she references what I talked about. So I make notes about what I talked about. Jimmy broke his arm in the baseball, whatever it is, or they have a baby arriving or a grandchild arriving on July 30th. She'll make a note about that. I'll make a note about that. She'll put it in the note. We'll remember on July 30th to call and congratulate them on the baby. It's and basically we try to keep up with them, depending on how hot they are, at least 3 or 4 times a year. And then that brings us to the whole database of people that you know. And there are scripts on the Mike Ferry website about center of influence, and I mean, that's vital.
Well, one thing that we've been talking about recently is the MLS prospecting thing. And if you would, do y'all put your people on that?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
And
I think that is incredible.
Well, then there's another thing you can do for your listing that ties in with that, and it's the reverse prospecting function. So basically, when someone puts a prospect into a campaign, as a listing agent, you can do what's called a reverse prospecting function, and you can see what agents actually have prospects, and it lists their prospect numbers that are actually have your listing in their favorite search. So you can prospect backwards and call those agents and say, do you know you have 5 prospects that have my new listing in their search? So, and when your sellers are hearing, see, all that is in the marketing plan here. So we didn't go over it because Liz had already read it. But it's good to have a brochure with your, we have an 18-point marketing plan, and basically when I said, do you have any questions, I was driving at, do you have any questions about the marketing plan? Now, if they haven't read it, which sometimes happens, I'll go over it with them. But basically there are a lot of facets, and it's just all about looking for that opportunity, looking for business.
And this marketing piece was done by Billy Joe for them. So of course you've got access to the marketing department and get this kind of stuff done for you for free.
We have
no extra money.
We have incredible tools here. We have amazing tools that are at your disposal if you just use them.
No, I'm assuming that you have a separate customer resource management software or something like
yes.
that. And what is that?
Repeat that question in case.
Yeah, the question was, do we have a separate customer resource database manager? And we use one that most people don't use. It's called Mojo, and it's a calling system. And so it's a database manager and a calling system, and it automatically dials numbers. So when I dial through a neighborhood, I can download the numbers from the internet, and then it dials 3 numbers at the same time to put me on the phone with more people. It's quick. It's all a numbers game. So the more people you get on the phone with, the more sales is a contact sport. So the more contacts you make, the more chances are that you're going to get a prospect that wants to sell. So
now what happens when it dials 3 people at a time and 2 people answer?
That's a great question. And I don't tell many people this, but since it's just us.
And the world.
I actually have a recording of my voice for the person that picks up 1 millisecond later.
It's really corny.
That says, hello? I can't hear you, I'm sorry, I'll have to call you right back. Well, then Mojo knows that happened, and it calls them back. When I hang up from this one, it calls this one, and it gives me a message saying, it's called plain callback message, and that's how I know that's what happened. I said, can you hear me now? So I get caught on that sometimes. Sometimes, like, I don't believe that. I think you were robo-dialing me, but I usually...
The Mojo also allows more users to go on there. Not that I can make calls at the same time Chip is, but I can access Mojo like minute to minute as he's calling. If I know he's in here calling and I know I'm going to be busy with notes and stuff, I can go into Mojo while he's even calling and access the database. So it's not like only time he's calling is the only time I can't get on there, So we can both work all day long on the same thing.
Is it cloud or is it?
It's cloud, yeah. And it has an automatic function where when I hang up from somebody, I can press a button and it sends an email to Andy saying, send a note to this prospect. And then she can go in and look at the notes I made. I make the notes while I'm talking to them. She goes and looks in the notes and writes them. Really, honestly, the secret weapon, if we have one, is those notes.
Well,
those notes
it has
are
proven. We source our business at the end of each year, and
yeah. So the real secret weapon on our team is Andy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I paid him for that.
Of course, Stan does all right too. I think I'll keep him around.
I was going to ask. I'm sure they're wondering what the Mojo cost.
Mojo is $149 a month, so it's not cheap. But
I wouldn't think it would be doing that.
Yeah, but if you do, even top producers probably 70, and that doesn't have a dialer. So it's you get what you pay for. If you close one deal because of it, and we probably close one deal a week because of it, you're gonna more than pay for it. So anybody have any other questions and they want to ask?
When you're prospecting expireds and withdrawals and whatnot on the MLS, do y'all contact them, the day after it expires, or do you, give them a couple of weeks and let other people run through it, or what do you do?
No, I start calling them at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Okay.
And usually if I call them by 9, they've already talked to 3 other realtors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you, probably shouldn't ask this question, but Do you check to make sure that it's not, they haven't already listed in MLS, because this is what you need to do before you call them? That's what they need.
Well, no, that's a great question. The system I use called RedX that finds the numbers, it does that.
Okay.
However, the MLS is up to the minute, and RedX is day by day. So there are times when I mistakenly call somebody, and I just say, I'm sorry. If they said we're relisted, I said, I'm sorry, I didn't, have that information.
I will call you again.
But I've never done it intentionally.
Right.
But yeah, but RedX actually, that's the other program that looks up these numbers. It actually tells you who's relisted and knocks them out so you can't call them. It just erases them. They're like grayed out. You can see who they are, but it won't download it to.
And how much is the RedX?
RedX is 50.
50?
Yeah. Like
50 a month?
50 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have extra features. You have the for sale by owners and.
Well, if with for sale by owner, it'd be 70. Yeah. So if you did the whole package with Mojo and that, you're looking at about $220 per month. But again, I mean, if let's say your average sale price is $300, and you do one deal because of it, that's a $9,000 commission.
Right.
I mean, then that's
It
pretty
just cuts
good.
down on
Math.
error too. Like I remember when I first met Chip, he was making calls on his phone, with like that, and he would misdial people.
I misdial
They
people
wouldn't
all
even
the
have
time.
their house for sale, and I mean, it was pathetic.
I mean, she calls me Mr. Magoo. I misdial people all the time. So the good thing about Mojo, it never misdials.
Yeah, you're going to get the right person pretty much.
Anybody else have any questions? Teresa?
Well, since I'm brand new,
Not really.
well, not really,
Yeah.
but, close enough. I had sold in a developer community in Florida, so I didn't do general brokerage. But I have been around it for a long time. But I have a question. The neighborhood I live in, there are probably 3 or 4 homes listed right now for sale. And one is a Carolina One listing. She had an open house Saturday. She walked around and knocked on everyone's door that morning before it started and introduced herself to those that opened the door to her and just said, I'm having an open house at blah, blah. And would you like, I would invite you to come and look at the house. And if you have any friends that are interested, bring them along. And I thought that was a pretty good.
That's a great idea.
It's awesome, and that's a Mike Perry
Yeah,
suggestion.
absolutely.
He
That's a great
suggested you do that.
And you can have the door hangers done so that if they don't answer, or if they answer, either way. But at the bottom, you can have the iPad entry, so they can fill out the entry for an iPad drawing that we do once a month, and then you just tell them to bring it to the open house to give it back, so you're in the drawing.
And you get their contact information
Yeah.
that way. But the knocking on the 50 doors, he says 50. And when you get the listing, you knock on 50 doors, or you call them, the same kind of thing. But he said knock on those doors. When it sells, knock on the same 50 doors. You have open house, knock on the same 50 doors.
Right.
So over the period of time, you've had a lot of contact with those neighbors.
Well, they see you're out working.
And they know you're working,
Yeah.
right? It's
Well,
impressive.
would I be able to, these houses are listed, so obviously I can't solicit them. But would it be legal for me to mention to these owners, as their neighbor, hey, guess what, I'm back in real estate.
Oh, we'll send out an announcement card. We'll suggest
So
that
I
you
can
send.
do that, that's not like the listing.
No,
trying to
that's
get a
correct.
list. Okay,
Correct, yeah.
okay,
Right.
Right, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
If no other questions, then thank you very much, Chip.
All right, it was
Very
fun.
good, thank you.